So we're here to talk about adding it all up, and our learning target today is I can gather and add up facts to determine a topic or main idea. Now, I know this sounds kind of familiar because we've already been kind of getting our feet wet with understanding and practice finding topics and main idea, but we'll get up to what we mean. So as a quick review, we've talked about annotating and marking as we're reading to make sure we're really understanding what we're reading. We've also talked about what a topic is, and that is what a text is about, as well as what a main idea is, the so what that we're supposed to get about this topic. Why do we care? What is the author trying to tell us? And we've used a few strategies as well to kind of understand this. And our first strategy was about surveying the features, pictures, graphs, and topic sentences to kind of help us predict things. And the other one was to take notes on different visuals that we've actually stopped and looked at to gather more facts and information. So the thing is about all of these, those strategies are helping us preview evidence and kind of start to think about it so that we are predicting possible topics and main ideas, but we're not actually ready to get down to 100% proving that these are the topics and main ideas. And that's what we're going to get to today. So the very first thing is we want to actually start gathering up the facts, collecting evidence. So things we want to do while we do this is remember that facts and details can come very quickly in a text as we're reading it. So we really kind of want to stop and gather facts as we go. We don't necessarily want to read the entire thing and then try to pick up facts from everywhere. We kind of want to go section by section to really help us understand things, because facts collect just like rain collects in a bucket, and here they keeps adding into our bucket, and eventually it is going to overflow or get super heavy. So because of that, we really have some suggestions of not waiting until that bucket is too full. That is why we want to go section by section or paragraph by paragraph, depending on how long a text is. You want to put some facts in your own words or my own words to show we understand them, but other facts we also want in the author's words to make sure we're being accurate. So these are a few suggestions, and we're going to actually try it by looking at this article right here. This is fairly familiar. We've previewed it. So I want you to actually take a minute to pause and try to read through all of this text. Okay, and I want you to see what kind of things you might have pulled out, because right now we're going to take a look at some facts that I gathered while reading this. So I went through and I read the whole thing, and I saw a few different details. Let's see, for instance, up here in the first paragraph, I noticed that in 2012 there was a 600% more independent spending than 2008. I went back and tried to make sure I understood what independent spending was, and that was basically people or a group outside of the actual campaign spending money on advertising and campaigning. So that 600% is a huge increase, so that was a fact I gathered. I also saw that going down here that spending reached 1.4 billion in 2016, but in 2020 it actually went up to 1.6 billion. And I actually went back in the article and found that this was printed before the 2020 election was complete, so it was already above. But the thing is that this is it's going on, but it's a slower rate than it used to be. So it's still increasing, just not as fast, is something to notice. Down here, I also noticed that it said spending by candidates themselves went down from 1.7 billion in 2008 to 1.5 billion in 2016. So to me, it sounds like candidates' spending is going down while other people's spending on them is kind of going up. And down here, I noticed, and I took words directly from it, saying that there's a major shift toward independent campaigning. That seemed to be a really major fact to gather. So I went through and picked out those important notes. I either put them in my own words or I quoted them directly using quotation marks to know I was being accurate. And now I'm going to add these facts up. I've gathered my facts, and now I want to add them up to see what kind of result I'm going to get. So I want to actually stop and find the connections. I want to ask myself, what am I learning from these things? How do these different facts actually fit together? Are they like puzzle pieces and they make a bigger picture? Or kind of looking at what do these things have in common? This is going to help me actually prove that what, the so what, and so what. So help me prove the topic and the main idea. It's going to help me really clarify them, because now I'm really stopping and looking at the author's words and everything. And it's probably going to match things I've predicted or be very close. So as I looked here, I added up all these facts that I came up with. I just copied them over here. And I noticed that something in common is all these things are talking about money being spent on campaigns. But I am noticing some things that I'm trying to see how they fit together, and I was actually noticing they didn't really fit perfectly together. I noticed differences in between who is spending what money and how much money is being spent. So in fact, I kind of went back and refined my topic to campaign spending. So kind of like election spending, but this was more about like how much campaigns are spending, specifically, not just on the election in general. And I refined my main idea to say more money is being spent on campaigns by the independent groups than by the candidates themselves. So now I'm actually using the details in that section. Now, again, this is the topic and main idea of just this section, but that's going to help me kind of really understand the topic and the main idea of the entire thing together. But I've been gathering my facts and adding them together to come up with very specific ideas. So what's next for you is your practice. You're going to do the same kind of thing where you're going to annotate your text, highlight and take notes, and make sure you're understanding what you're reading. You're only going to pick one section to do your practice on. To gather your facts, you're going to list those facts, some in your words and some in the author's words as you feel important. And finally, add it up to pick an official topic and main idea of that section.